Have you ever felt uneasy around someone without even knowing why? Like there's something unspoken in the air. Maybe the person who smiles at you the most is actually the one who secretly hates you. Creepy, right? Carl Jung called this the shadow, the part of us we hide, the emotions we deny. This shadow can show up in surprising ways, like the hidden hatred of someone close to you. Instead of facing their own flaw, some people see in others a reflection of what they reject in themselves. That's how a so-called friend might secretly resent your success, take pleasure in your failures, or subtly shut you out. It's unconscious, but the effects are very real. I know how confusing and painful it can be to feel that someone close to you harbors hatred. That's why I've put together this complete guide with 13 signs that someone secretly hates you. By recognizing these signs, you can protect yourself from manipulation, avoid emotional burnout, and build more authentic relationships. The final sign is the most subtle and the most devastating. Don't let it go unnoticed. Stay with me until the end to learn how to spot these signs and protect your emotional energy. The first sign that someone secretly hates you is when they constantly take jabs at you, disguised as jokes or subtle criticism. It often starts with harmless little comments, subtle digs that almost go unnoticed, a remark about how you talk, a comment on your appearance, a joke that feels a bit too pointed. Relax, it's just a joke, they'll say, but deep down something feels off. It's not just a joke. When someone secretly hates you, they won't show open hostility. Instead, they go for low-key attacks sprinkled throughout conversations, light enough to brush off but frequent enough to plant seeds of doubt. A jab at your accomplishments, a subtle critique of your life choices, a condescending tone that implies your ideas aren't worth much. These microaggressions, though small on their own, eventually pile up and chip away at your confidence. Carl Jung said that everything we reject in ourselves, we end up projecting onto others. So if someone constantly puts you down with sarcastic remarks, it's probably not random. It could reflect a deep inner discomfort they can't face. Their insecurity shows up as a need to belittle you, to shrink who you are so they can feel bigger. It's hard to respond to these provocations because they're subtle enough to be dismissed. If you call them out, the other person always has an excuse. You're overreacting, you're too sensitive, it was just a joke. But when these comments keep coming, they're no longer harmless. They reveal a much deeper animosity than they're willing to admit. The worst part is that these remarks make you question yourself. You wonder if you're overthinking things, if your imagination is playing tricks on you. But your gut doesn't lie. Real kindness doesn't hurt, not even unintentionally. If someone around you is constantly towing the line between humor and criticism, maybe it's time to reconsider their role in your life. The second sign to watch for is that inexplicable sense of discomfort you feel in their presence, like their energy is heavy or hostile. Energy doesn't lie. When someone secretly hates you, their body and subconscious betray what they're trying to hide. It's not just about the words in a conversation, but also the vibe they give off. You might notice a lack of warmth in their eyes, a colder tone of voice when they speak to you, or a slightly stiff posture when they're near you. Carl Jung talked about the collective unconscious, this invisible dimension that connects us as human beings. We don't just perceive what people say, we also feel what they're radiating on a deeper level. Someone holding a grudge against you is projecting a certain energy, and it often shows up as an unexplained discomfort. You might not have any concrete proof, but your instincts are on alert. You leave a conversation with them feeling drained, uneasy, or strangely irritated, and you can't quite explain why. This becomes even more obvious when you notice they don't act that way with everyone. They might be warm and friendly with others, but with you there's this subtle tension, that weird something you just can't name. If every time you're around a particular person you feel a strange unease, a heaviness in the air, a quiet sense that your presence bothers them, listen to that feeling. Hidden emotions always find a way to surface. You might not be able to explain it, but you can feel when someone doesn't have good intentions toward you. It's not paranoia, it's a kind of intuitive intelligence we often ignore. The third sign is disguised rivalry. This person always seems to want to outdo you instead of being genuinely happy for you. You share good news, a personal achievement, or a project that excites you. You expect a sincere congratulations, a spontaneous smile, a warm reaction. Instead, what you get is cold and distant, averted eyes, a forced smile, a comment that downplays your success. When someone secretly hates you, they can't stand seeing you succeed. They won't attack you outright, but they'll silently compete with you. Every time you reach a goal, they feel the need to outdo it. Every step forward you take sparks an unconscious urge in them to prove they're better than you. This hidden competition can show up in different ways. Sometimes they subtly imitate you. If you change your style, they copy it. If you start a new project, they launch something similar. But it's not admiration, it's their way of keeping you from getting too far ahead. Other times, they'll downplay your success by always finding an excuse. Yeah, but you just got lucky. Or, it's nice, but it could have been better. Carl Jung explained that jealousy is often a projection of a deep internal lack. This person doesn't hate you for who you are, but for what you remind them of, their own insecurities, their unrealized dreams. Through you, they see what they wish they were or what they failed to become. The danger in this type of rivalry is that it's hidden. Unlike open competition, where the rules are clear, this one plays out in silence. You feel tension, a sense of being pushed, but you can't quite put your finger on it. It creates an uncomfortable atmosphere where every interaction feels laced with some invisible subtext. Recognizing this dynamic is crucial. A true friendship or healthy relationship is built on mutual support and encouragement, not a power struggle disguised as kindness. If every step forward you take triggers a silent race in the other person, maybe you're not looking at an ally but a rival behind a mask. The fourth sign is their indifference to your emotions. Whether you're doing well or struggling, they show no real interest in how you feel. When someone secretly hates you, they don't feel any compassion for your experiences. They might pretend to listen, nod at the right moments, say a few neutral-sounding words, but deep down, nothing truly reaches them. Worse, they might seem annoyed by your emotions, like your pain is an inconvenience to them. Lack of empathy is a strong signal. This isn't just a passing lack of interest, it's a complete absence of emotional connection. Someone who genuinely cares about you will naturally feel your pain and try to ease it, even with a kind word or a small gesture. But someone harboring resentment won't feel a thing when you're hurting. This disguised contempt can also show up as constantly downplaying your feelings. You open up about something difficult, and instead of support, you hear things like, "It's not that bad, others have it worse," or "You're always overreacting." These aren't harmless comments. They often signal a refusal to acknowledge your worth, as if your well-being isn't important enough to matter. Carl Jung pointed out that someone's indifference toward us can reflect their own unhealed wounds. But that doesn't mean you have to excuse it or try to understand what's causing their coldness. What matters is recognizing the pattern and letting go of expectations they can't or won't meet. We all deserve to be surrounded by people who are capable of empathy, presence, and basic human decency. If, despite your efforts, someone close to you remains closed off to your emotions, it might be time to accept that they don't care as much as you thought they did. The fifth sign is fake kindness. This person helps you, but always in a way that keeps them in a position of superiority. Some people always seem eager to help. They offer advice, lend a hand, show their support. At first glance, their kindness feels genuine, but over time, doubt creeps in. Is this help really selfless? When someone secretly hates you, they won't attack you openly. They'll take a more subtle, manipulative route, the poisoned gift. This kind of person offers help that actually weakens you. Instead of lifting you up, they make you believe they're there for you while secretly ensuring you stay dependent or quietly setting you up to fail. This can show up in different ways. They might give you advice that sounds caring but actually leads you astray. If I were you, I wouldn't try that. It seems too risky. Or they might help you in a way that puts you below them, constantly reminding you that you couldn't have done it without them. Good thing I was there to help, you would have struggled otherwise. Carl Jung explained that some people project their insecurities by subtly controlling others. If they help you, it's not to see you grow, it's to keep control. They want to be the ones who decide what you deserve. The trap with this sneaky kind of help is that it's hard to refuse. How do you say no to someone who seems to want what's best for you? How do you question a gesture that looks positive on the surface? That's the trick. If you push back, you're seen as ungrateful, too suspicious, or unfair. But the truth is simple. Real help uplifts, strengthens, and empowers. Toxic help creates dependence, doubt, and invisible debt. If you feel like every act of support comes with strings attached or hidden motives, maybe it's time to question the real intention behind it. The sixth sign is that they talk negatively about you behind your back, subtly undermining your reputation. You always trusted this person. You thought they were part of your circle, someone who respected your story and kept your secrets. But then one day something slips. Someone else mentions a comment, a criticism that never should have come from them. When someone secretly hates you, they won't come at you head-on. Instead, they'll use a sneakier tactic, talking about you behind your back, not necessarily in an aggressive or openly hostile way, but always with the intent to plant doubt, damage your image, and slowly erode how others see you. It often starts with harmless remarks. You know, I like them, but sometimes they act a little strange. Or, she's talented, sure, but there's something about her attitude that bothers me. These comments seem innocent, but they work like slow poison. They're not direct attacks, but subtle shifts in perception designed to make people second-guess their opinion of you. Someone who badmouths you behind your back rarely does it just for fun. Consciously or not, they're expressing their own insecurities and frustrations. Talking you down is their way of boosting themselves up. The real danger in this behavior is its invisibility. You don't know exactly what's being said or how much it's affecting your relationships. All you notice is a subtle shift in how people treat you. A strange distance, a change in tone, a sudden lack of enthusiasm in your interactions. The worst thing you can do is dismiss these signs just because you don't have proof. If several people start repeating vague comments, or if you feel your reputation is taking a hit for no clear reason, chances are someone's working in the shadows to undermine you. The only real solution is to be mindful of who you trust. Not every ear that listens is doing so with good intentions. The seventh sign is that their body betrays their contempt. Avoiding eye contact, clenched jaw, forced smile. Their attitude says more than their words ever could. Words can lie, but the body never does. A person can smile, say all the right things, be perfectly polite, but their body language will always reveal how they really feel. When someone secretly hates you, they send subtle signals your intuition picks up long before your conscious mind catches on. It might be a gaze that always avoids yours, like making eye contact is too uncomfortable, or the opposite, a stare that feels oddly intense, almost confrontational. A blank expression when you speak, a face that suddenly shuts down, a jaw that tightens at certain moments. Microaggressions are often the biggest giveaways. They last less than a second, but expose the truth of a hidden emotion. A subtle eye roll when you start talking, a fake smile that never reaches the eyes, a defensive posture, arms crossed every time you're in the same room. Carl Jung reminds us that we are deeply intuitive beings. Our unconscious picks up on these nonverbal cues, which is often why we feel uneasy around someone even if we can't explain it. Something in their presence just feels off. This kind of nonverbal hostility is especially dangerous because it doesn't come with words. There's no clear attack to call out. If you confront them about their weird vibe, they can easily deny it. What? You're imagining things, but your gut doesn't lie. Learning to read body language is like unlocking a secret language. Someone who truly likes you will naturally try to connect through eye contact, open posture, and a warm tone. But someone hiding resentment will constantly give off signals of irritation, tension, or rejection, even without realizing it. Pay attention to those signals. They often confirm what you already felt deep down. The eighth sign is that they gradually shut you out. You're no longer invited to events and you start feeling an unexplained distance. You used to be included in conversations, part of the group, a natural presence in your circle. But slowly, without any clear reason, something shifts. You're left out, subtly and almost invisibly. No one tells you about plans. You get vague excuses when others meet up without you, and you're reassured with phrases like, "Oh, we weren't sure you'd be interested," or "It was a last-minute thing." When someone secretly hates you, they won't exclude you outright. They'll never say to your face that you're not welcome. Instead, they maintain the illusion that everything's fine while quietly ensuring that you're less and less included. This exclusion can happen on an individual level, but also within a group. All it takes is one person subtly influencing others, casting doubt on your worth, downplaying your importance, suggesting you don't quite fit. Little by little, the group follows along without even realizing it. Carl Jung taught that social belonging is a fundamental human need. Being repeatedly left out causes deep feelings of isolation and self-doubt, even though the problem doesn't lie with you. This kind of subtle rejection can seriously impact your confidence, especially when it's hard to pinpoint the cause. The hard part is that everything always feels vague. There's no open conflict, no direct argument, just a slow fade into invisibility. You know something's wrong, but you can't find any concrete reason to explain it. And that's exactly what makes this behavior so destructive. It makes you doubt your own perception. Recognizing this pattern is the first step in protecting yourself. If you sense that someone is quietly working to push you out, take a step back. The people who truly care about you won't let someone else decide where you belong. The ninth sign is that they seem almost relieved when you fail, showing zero compassion. Life tests us all. Projects fall apart, opportunities slip through, doubts and struggles arise. In those moments, we need support, understanding, and someone to stand by us. The people who really care feel our pain, cheer us on, and help us bounce back. But then there are others, quieter ones, who watch these moments with a curious kind of interest. When someone secretly hates you, they can't fully hide their satisfaction when things go wrong for you. It's not a loud laugh or obvious gloating, it's more subtle. A reaction that feels too neutral when you share bad news, a total lack of sympathy, maybe even a comment that subtly suggests you brought it on yourself. Someone who envies you or sees you as a hidden rival will treat your setbacks like personal wins. They won't say it out loud, but you'll catch it in the little things. A barely there smile, a shift in tone, a suddenly more relaxed posture. The most toxic ones won't just wait for you to fail, they might even, consciously or not, contribute to it. They'll give you questionable advice, push you toward risky decisions under the guise of helping, or constantly bring up your past mistakes just to reinforce the idea that you're not cut out for success. Spotting this behavior takes sharp awareness because, with this kind of person, we often downplay our instincts, tell ourselves we're being dramatic, imagining things. But deep down, we know the truth. When someone shows no sadness at your struggles, when you feel in your gut that your pain gives them relief, that's a red flag you should never ignore. The 10th sign is that they downplay or completely ignore your successes, unable to genuinely share in your joy. When you reach a goal, complete a project, or hit a major milestone, the people who truly care about you naturally feel joy for you. They celebrate with you, congratulate you sincerely, and treat your win like it's theirs too. But sometimes what stands out is the absence, a cold reaction, an awkward silence, a mechanical congrats with no real feeling behind it. When someone secretly hates you, they'll never show real enthusiasm for your victories. They might nod, give a flat, "Oh, that's nice," but deep down they feel nothing for you. Worse, they might try to downplay your achievement. "Oh, that's not that impressive. Anyone could have done that," or "It's good, but it could have been better." This kind of indifference can sting more than direct criticism. It leaves a bitter taste, like your success holds no value in their eyes. You are hoping to share a happy moment, but you're met with a wall of indifference, like what you've done isn't even worth acknowledging. Carl Jung spoke about projection and repression. When someone resents or envies you, they simply can't applaud your success. Your win reminds them of their own failures or frustrations. Rather than feel happy for you, they choose to ignore it because recognizing it would mean confronting something they're not ready to face in themselves. This often comes with an attempt to shift the spotlight. Right after you share your good news, they'll suddenly talk about themselves. "Oh, by the way, I've done that too recently." Or they'll abruptly change the subject, as if what you said didn't matter at all. If this person is never present in your joyful moments, if they never show real excitement for what you achieve, maybe it's time to ask yourself what place they truly deserve in your life. Because those who care about you will celebrate your light, not try to quietly dim it. The 11th sign is that they never help you for free. Their support always comes with expectations or an unspoken debt. Helping each other is part of healthy human relationships. When we care about someone, we help them with no strings attached. But some people don't work like that. Their help is never free. Every favor, every piece of advice, every bit of support comes with an implied price. When someone secretly hates you, they might not refuse to help, but they'll make sure you owe them. It shows up in comments that remind you of the favor. "If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have made it." Or, "Remember, it's thanks to me you got that opportunity." This kind of behavior creates an unbalanced relationship where the other person tries to gain power over you through an invisible sense of debt. Every time you accept their help, you feel unconsciously bound to them, like you owe something, even if they don't say it outright. Another way this shows up is through help that's only offered when it benefits them. They'll only support you if they gain something from it, if it boosts their image, serves their interests, or gives them some control over you. But the day you need them and there's nothing in it for them, suddenly they're unavailable, distant, or emotionally checked out. Carl Jung noted that some relationships are built on hidden power games. Offering help can be a subtle form of control. Someone who truly values you won't use support as leverage. They'll help sincerely, no scoreboard, no reminders. It's essential to recognize this kind of manipulation. Real help is a gift, not a chain. If someone only lends a hand to keep you under their influence, it's not support, it's disguised domination. The 12th sign is when someone uses spirituality as a tool for manipulation, making you doubt your feelings and intuition under the guise of spiritual growth. Spiritual gaslighting is a subtle and dangerous form of manipulation where spiritual ideas are twisted to make you question your own perception. Unlike traditional gaslighting, which warps your reality, this one invalidates your emotions in the name of so-called enlightenment. This person will try to discredit your feelings with lines like, "That's just your ego talking. If you were more evolved, you wouldn't feel this," or "You need to raise your vibration to move past this." Instead of offering genuine support, they turn your doubt and pain into signs of spiritual weakness, implying your intuition can't be trusted and you're solely responsible for your suffering. Carl Jung warned about the dangers of emotional repression. Denying your feelings for the sake of spiritual progress can disconnect you from your inner truth. Real growth doesn't come from suppressing emotion. It comes from understanding and accepting it. The final sign is your intuition. There are things we can't explain with words, but we feel them deeply. A persistent gut feeling, a subtle unease, a sense that something is off in the relationship. On the surface, everything might seem fine, no open conflict, no obvious attacks, but deep down, something sounds the alarm every time you're near this person. Carl Jung explained that the unconscious picks up far more than the conscious mind. Our emotions act like silent messengers, warning us about danger long before we understand why. What we call intuition isn't just a vague feeling. It's a result of countless subtle signals your rational mind hasn't processed yet. When someone secretly hates you, their attitude, energy, and microexpressions betray what they're trying to hide. You feel coldness in their gestures, distance in their words, a mismatch between what they say and what you sense. Maybe their compliments feel hollow, their encouragements lack warmth, their gaze says something their voice never does. The problem is we often ignore these signs. We tell ourselves stories to feel better. I'm just imagining things. I'm being too paranoid. They've never really done anything wrong. But our feelings don't lie. If every interaction leaves you with tightness in your chest, unexplained nerves, or emotional fatigue, it's not nothing. Learning to trust your intuition is crucial. You don't need hard evidence to listen to what your body and mind are telling you. Energy never lies. If you keep feeling discomfort around someone, even without a clear reason, ask yourself the most important question of all. Does this person truly deserve a place in your life? Because in the end, you don't owe anyone an explanation for your feelings. You have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to take space. You have the right to listen to that small voice inside that, from the very beginning, has been trying to tell you the truth. Realizing that someone close might secretly hate you is painful, but the real question is, what do you do with that knowledge? Your first instinct might be direct confrontation to seek clarity, but that's not always the best move. Some people will never admit to their hidden resentment, and trying to expose it will only lead to more manipulation, more denial, and more emotional drain. Carl Jung said the projection of the shadow is unconscious most of the time. The person treating you badly for no reason doesn't even realize where their hostility comes from. But that doesn't mean you have to tolerate toxic behavior. Quite the opposite. The best way to handle this is by setting clear boundaries and protecting your emotional energy. Step 1 is to stop seeking validation. If someone ignores your wins, minimizes your feelings, or chips away at your confidence, you don't owe them anything. The more you seek their approval, the more power you give them over your well-being. Step 2 is to limit their access to your life. You don't have to cut ties completely, but you can create distance. Stop sharing personal details. Don't open up emotionally. Keep your interactions neutral. Once they realize they can't reach you anymore, their grip over you starts to fade. Finally, it's essential to strengthen your own energy. That means practicing mindfulness, building self-esteem, and consciously choosing to surround yourself with people who genuinely support you. Protecting yourself emotionally doesn't mean closing yourself off from the world. It means learning to discern who's truly worthy of your vulnerability and who isn't. The real lesson here isn't about feeding resentment or paranoia, but about developing emotional intelligence and discernment. Being able to spot these signs gives us the power to better choose who we allow into our lives, to guard our energy, and to prioritize relationships that actually nourish us. Creating distance isn't always a loss. Sometimes it's a necessary step in our growth. Now I invite you to apply this knowledge to your own life. Look at your relationships with more awareness, listen to your intuition, and protect your inner peace. If this video helped you in any way, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to keep learning about psychology, human relationships, and personal development. And if you watched until the end, drop an "I choose peace" in the comments. That way, I'll know you're part of this group of people seeking a more conscious and balanced path. See you in the next video.